she wasn't doing what she was supposed. She wasn't even filing.
Oh my God.
She wasn't even filing. So she was taking my money. So she wasn't even filing.
Oh my Lord.
And then the state came to my job, showed their badge. It was scary.
Oh my Lord.
Shout out. The Connects. Luis Guzman.
Yes. Welcome to another episode of I'm an Artist, Not a Salesman podcast, where we highlight the journey of entrepreneurs and business people alike to showcase that every light and dark moment creates a beautiful piece of art. This is episode 19. I am your host, Luis Guzman. I have a special guest in the building today. This man right here, he defines a lot of things, but I'm going to start with smart business, great entertainer, has a beautiful entertainment company, over 25 years in business, about to be 25 years in October. This guy is a DJ. This guy is a one of one when it comes to rocking the party and when it comes to understanding all different personalities to create his own beautiful piece of art, which is TWK Events. He is the owner of the Wedding Kitchen. I am talking about none other than Jose Oliveras. Welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you for having me, Luis.
Thanks for being with us, man.
Thank you, brother.
I appreciate you, brother. Definitely, man.
Thank you.
No problem, man. And we talked a lot before the cameras went on, which we're gonna get into it with you now. But the first question I ask to every guest that comes on, I'm gonna ask it to you. Who is Jose Oliveras?
Good question. Right. I try to keep it simple, man. Honestly, I'm a New York Rican from two Puerto Rican parents that was born in Hollis, Queens.
Nice.
And I had, like anybody else, your trials and your tribulations, and came out good. Came out on the other side. I'm a hard worker. My father taught me to be a hard worker, God-fearing man. Very imperfect. I'm not trying to act like I'm perfect because I'm not, right? But that sums up who I am. I'm a father. I am a proud husband, like you said, a business owner, an entrepreneur, person that's been doing things on their own for over 25 years. But I'm still under construction, and gotcha. I don't know it all. I never try to claim that I do, but I try to, what I do know, share with others, hold people up, keep good company, and leave the rest up to God,
Amen, brother. That's beautiful, man. And your father, your mother, to your point, they did a great job from what I see so far.
Thank you.
You talking about your dad showing you hard work,
yes,
instilling that in you. I see that in you. I mean, for the audience that is listening, Jose actually did my own personal wedding in August, and it was kind of like the genesis to getting you to come on here, because I feel like the way you handle yourself in business and your personality as just like, this guy's just a cool guy.
Thank you,
but
brother.
He does good business. So I respect people that do good business, but I also respect people that are hard workers, and you embody both of those things.
Yeah, thank you, man.
So, you saying that gives me confirmation that what you were showing me is the truth. And I want to share your story because I was a client of yours, and I saw the hard work, I saw the dedication, I saw the business acumen, and I saw the overall attention to my wedding that I don't take lightly. And you made me and my wife's day amazing. And I wanted to showcase your story because of that. So,
awesome, man.
Everything is right back to you, brother.
Thank you, brother.
Definitely, man. So,
thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You said something about your father instilling you hard work, right?
Yep.
Instilling hard work in you. Talk to me. You came in, you're in Queens,
yep.
You're Rican.
Mm-hmm.
What was the journey of finding you as a DJ, so to speak, because you are a DJ as well?
Yeah.
With the hard work your father instilled in you. Tell me how that started from a young age to where you are now, with the hard work the hard work example your father showed you.
Yeah, sure. My father came from Puerto Rico, like I said. He didn't know any English. He came here in the mid 60s.
Okay.
Maybe early 60s. Didn't know any English. He pushed him. He went to, I think it was York College in Queens, to took an English class, and learned English. He was an apprentice in Puerto Rico, and he was a printing apprentice in Puerto Rico.
Nice.
Had some skills, but didn't know English. Knew that if he wanted to get somewhere here, that he would have to learn English. So he took a class, worked as an apprentice in a printing company in Manhattan, and did well. And from what I understand, he excelled more than the owners thought he would. He got more responsibilities, and his natural entrepreneur mind decided to do his own thing. So he did. I mean, give him a lot of credit for that.
Which was what? What did he get into?
Printing. He was a printer.
Oh, okay, nice. So he started his own printing business.
He started his own printing business, and it was very different then. Right now, everything is digital. Back then, it was like plates and big presses and machines and stuff like that. I don't know a whole lot of the business because I was young, but I do remember going with him. I'm the youngest of four, so I was always the apple of my father's eye. So I was youngest of four, so I always wanted to be with him, go wherever he went. And he was a hustler. He did that. And any business opportunities that came, that were put on his plate or somebody presented to him, if he thought it was something that he can do, he went ahead and did it. Okay. He was successful at a lot of them. He was not successful at others. But that I like to credit him for instilling that in my mind, that you can do something for yourself, that you don't have to have that Harvard degree, although a Harvard degree is great. And I instill that in my kids to get your education. But it wasn't a must to be successful. It was only a tool. That is a tool to be successful. So that's what I got from my dad. And as I grew up in Hollis, Queens, like I said, the youngest of four, I got definitely the better. I was treated better by my parents because I was the youngest.
Little one. Yeah.
I was the baby.
Baby, yeah.
So I was able to take that. I took it for granted, but I was able to use that to my benefit. And as I grew, I was always into music. Music was always part of my house. It was always, salsa or Gran Combo back then. All that other stuff was in my house. And I used to think it was old people music, to be honest with you. I was into R&B and hip hop. So, me too. But I was doing parties. I did my first real big party in a club when it was freestyle music. It was like Judy Torres, TKA, George Lamont, all those guys, and girls. I got into that when I was in high school, and I did a couple of clubs. I was promoting parties, little DJing, dabbing here and there, 1200s and stuff like that, and the old style of DJing. And before I knew it, I was out of my teens. I was working, and I went to Bayside High School. I took off a year, then I went to John Jay College. But before you know it, life was going so fast. I was working full time, going to school, had 2 jobs, hustling and selling baseball cards, and, in my neighborhood, washing cars with my older brother, selling sodas when there was a gas strike. I was always doing something, right? And never had a plan, but just knew that I had to do my own thing. Yeah, that was, there was no, we lived in Hollis, Queens is a middle class, quote unquote, neighborhood, but it was the lower of the middle class. Yeah. It's called, it was an old white Italian Irish neighborhood, and then overnight it turned Latino and black.
Run DMC came.
Yeah. And everybody moved. The Irish and the Italians went to Long Island, and the Latinos and African Americans bought the houses and moved in. So it was still middle class, but it was kind of like the lower middle. There was no extras.
But were you there? I don't mean to cut you off, but were you there before it turned more black and brown?
Yeah.
Okay, so it was like a melting pot for you. Yeah. You were with the Irish, whites, black, Latino. So that kind of unconsciously gave you a little bit of a taste of every, race, and you were able to kind of blend in.
Yeah.
And I noticed that we talked off the camera that it makes you worldly, and you're able to connect to different cultures. Yeah. Do you think that's something at an early age you were exposed to?
Huge. I have a close friend of mine, the Hart family, Kevin Hart, and he was the youngest, I believe, of 6 or 7.
Kevin Hart, the comedian.
No.
Okay.
People think
you said that very nonchalant.
No, so Irish guy. This Kevin Hart is Irish.
Okay.
So, but he was my Irish connection, and I had another neighbor that was called. His name was Eddie Cortina. Okay. So he was my Italian connection. And we're brothers growing up. We're playing stickball, baseball every morning, stoop ball, handball, basketball. Second the sun came up, till the lights went on the street, and that it was all day thing. So I was hanging out in their homes and stuff like that. So I got a lot of their customs and their music tastes. They were listening to things like Twisted Sister, Def Leppard, and Guns N' Roses and the Police.
Wow.
And then Eddie's family was there, tying the Sinatras and the Crooners and the doo-wop. Wow. So that was that's
influence.
That's the influence I got. Then you're right, and it does help me now, and it's been helping me since I got into the wedding business, that I was able to take how I grew up and use that experience with a lot of our couples in New Jersey, New York, PA, which is a melting pot of people, Latino, non-Latino, and everything in between. So it helps. It helps a lot.
It's crazy because, they say that the first 8 or 9 years of your life, your mind is a VCR that memorizes everything you see unconsciously, right?
Right.
And so far, we have your story with your father being an entrepreneur. Like, he started with a printing apprentice,
right,
became his own boss.
Right.
Then you started selling baseball cards,
my first job.
Selling gas in the strike, etc.
Yeah, selling water in the strikes. That's right.
Then you add the influence of everybody in the neighborhood putting you on to doo-wop and English, Spanish, R&B, all the different types of music.
Right.
So it's almost like unconsciously you were prepping yourself for this role of being having a wedding entertainment company. Because you're able to attach yourself to any race or religion.
Correct.
And you're also able to, appreciate all the music. But you do it to, what connected me with you so much is you do it so transparently. I don't feel like I'm getting sold. Even though it is a transaction, to some amount, you got to make money, you got to make the sale, but it doesn't feel transactional with you. It feels like I'm talking to a friend.
Thank you.
So I again, just to add to that, I feel like you have lived a life so far where you picked from everything good that happened to you in your life and you made it this nucleus of who you are.
Yep. That was exactly, and it wasn't I didn't design that, right? It happened naturally. And you're right. That definitely helps me out in business today because I'm not a salesman, right?
You're an artist.
I'm not a salesman. I'm an artist.
Exactly.
Name of the podcast, right? But it's a lot easier when you don't have to fake it, right? Everybody knows at TWK we specialize in bilingual events, not just Latino events, bilingual events. A lot of a good portion of our customers are Spanish and English, or have friends that are Spanish and English, and that is what we're about, right? So me being able to not have to be somebody else helps me out because the Latino, as you know, we can see through that, right? A Latino has 3 eyes. We have a right, a left eye, and we have the eye that sees BS.
100%. Yes.
And more times than not, we'll call somebody out on it, right? Good or bad. It could be bad because it can cause confrontation. But when you're trying to sell something to somebody, if you're not genuinely yourself, that usually people can see it, and a Latino more than anybody else really feels it. I don't know if any of your parents ever said, "Oh, I had a dream and such and such was gonna happen." And he's like, "Oh, wow!"
All the time.
That already happened. How you know, ma? So
it's like they have a sixth sense, Pat.
Exactly. So that's definitely been something that, again, I didn't learn that. That's just who I am, and that's why I do this on a full-time basis. If I don't love it, I don't do it.
The passion's got to be there, and the day that passion dwindles out, then that's time for me to say, okay, time for me to retire and move on to something else. So speaking about moving on, so you're from Queens, Hollis.
Mm-hmm.
When was the transition made to New Jersey, and when did you start? When was the genesis of TWK?
I believe it was in 95 or 96.
Okay.
My father was ready to retire, and he had a good pension. He had The home was pretty much paid off.
Nice.
The value of his home went up, got higher. So he had the means to retire comfortably, and his dream was always to go back to Puerto Rico.
Is dad still with us? Is he in Puerto Rico?
Yeah, they're both. My father is 93.
God bless.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Wow.
So and fully functioning. He's still sharp, still very.
Puro cepa.
Yep. He's absolutely. And so his dream was to go back to Puerto Rico. I did give them a hard time growing up, and I was doing my own things. I could see how they were getting frustrated, and I could see that they wanted to, I think my mom just was like, I wasn't leaving the house. I was already 25, 26. I wasn't leaving unless they moved. And they knew it.
They moved. That was when you made your move.
So they, long story short, they left. So
they went to Puerto Rico, sold the house,
gave me $3,333.
That's what they gave you. Stop.
And said, son,
mucha suerte.
Good luck. We love you. Come visit us. Be your own man now.
Wow.
So they kind of pushed me to it was interesting.
But that's a great thing though that they did.
Oh yeah.
Parents today won't do that.
I have a hard time doing that with my own children. Just letting them go to college. That's a whole thing. They're 18 years old. I got twins and they're looking to go to college. I don't know if they're going to stay or not. And I had to catch myself because I'm like, one of those helicopter dads, I don't want them to go through anything that I went through. So I'm going to pave the way for them. Good and bad about that, right? The good is that I did keep them out of trouble. That they gave me no trouble ever, that beautiful. I gave my parents.
Right.
But on the downside of it, they also don't have that experience to say, hey, this is something that I shouldn't do. That I don't feel right about that. I trust that they'll make the right decisions, but they don't have the experience. I was taking the train from Hollis, Queens to the Boogie Down Bronx when I was 11, 12 years old, alone. So from Queens to the Bronx, for where I lived, you're talking about an hour and 20 minutes train ride in the early 80s. It wasn't like it is now. Very different.
And we were more independent. I mean, even me, I would go outside, come back at night. My mom would just yell out the window.
Yeah.
But, we were more independent. I think this generation now is more dependent.
Yeah.
I mean, if they walk down the street, the parents, oh my God, where'd he go?
Yeah, it's different.
But it's just different times.
Yeah, it's different. It's different.
Yeah. So, it's just kind of shaping you as a parent and, giving that little leeway. I mean, you're not doing what your parents did, like, here, vete.
Right, right.
But you have the experience, so you can bring that. You can give that to them,
right?
And hopefully they find a soft landing.
Yeah, and I'm an open book with my kids, and the reason I am, I'm not ashamed of where I've been and what I've done. Right, it made me who I am right now.
It's your story.
It's my story, and I'm an open book with them because I want them to know what I've done and what was a positive and the negative, so that they don't have to go through that. They don't have to do it. They know I lived it. I speak to my nephew, a couple of my cousins, and they think it's crazy, right? And like, oh, your parents don't talk to you about that? Oh no, my nephew was my godson. Was like, my father never talks to me anything about that. I was like, you should, but of course, this is just my way of bringing them up. I'm an open book so they can see, hey, all right, cool. My dad did that. I get it. This is something I don't want to do. Or, hey, you know what? I want to do that. I give them options. But, my parents moved. I came to Jersey. I was dating, not my wife, I was dating a girl that was in Jersey back then. Right. And I had two choices. I could move with a good buddy of mine, a Polish friend of mine that lived by Queens College in Flushing.
Okay.
Right across the street from a university, and a 2-bedroom apartment, which I really wanted to do. I was looking forward to that.
Like a no-brainer at that time.
And then I had a girlfriend that lived in Jersey. She had her own apartment and a whole car, and she tricked me to come to Jersey. I
mean, that's a setup. You got the car,
I got apartment. The car. You don't have to pay rent. Blah blah blah. And in my mind, I was like, man, I only have $3,333. I'm a DJ. I'm just working in clubs whenever they hire me.
Yeah.
Whatever job I had was very temporary, the most 6 months or a month, and I'm moving on. Right. I always had, I was never good working for somebody else who was, I did well with people who were good leaders. I did not do well with people who were poor leaders, so unfortunately, if you work the 9 to 5 today, you're going to see that more times that unfortunately people are not good leaders. I believe as you land a career job, then you start meeting people who are trained to be leaders and stuff like that. Then you'll probably be better off in a scenario like that. But when you're first starting out and you're working things like Five and Dime, Woolworths, and department stores and stuff like that, they don't train their leaders. Yeah. No, it's not.
They're trained to get a paycheck.
You've been here 2 years, okay, you supervise. Oh, you 4 years, okay, you're so forth and so on. But when my parents left, I had those two choices. I picked, long story short, Jersey, and before you know it, I got a 9-to-5 here in Minor Landers at a law firm in Gateway Center. I was a gopher. I had many titles. I had mailroom, file clerk, paralegal.
You did it all.
Everything. I wanted to be an attorney. That was my dream, was to be an attorney.
Also, your dream was to be an attorney. So the music was secondary?
No, music was first. Well, it was secondary then. It wasn't until I realized that in order for me to be somebody as an attorney or in a law firm, that it was just everything was politics. And again, that's something that I don't do well with.
You're a free thinker, free.
Yeah,
I got you.
Yeah, it was very difficult for me. I thought there was something wrong with me, to be honest. I was like, oh man, something's wrong with me. And it wasn't that something was wrong with me. It was just I was destined to do my own thing. I believe God, I had a purpose, and God had a purpose for me. And that's I just had to find my way. It was, what happened was I started doing my own thing as I was working for the law firm, and it came a point where I started making more doing my stuff on the side than I did as a 9-to-5.
The side hustle became the hustle.
Correct.
Got it.
So then, I spoke to my mom, who was my confidant, right? I said, Mom, what do you think? This law firm life is cool, but it's a suit and a paycheck. It's nothing else. It's empty.
It wasn't fulfilling.
No. And then, I had my side thing, which was fulfilling. My mom was like, well, you went to John Jay College. I also went to New York Paralegal School. What do you do all that? In her mind, I know what she was thinking. I spent money on this, and now you want to do what you were doing before. And she gave me her blessing. When I went on my own, which is, wasn't as scary as it was for a lot of other people that I speak to that went on their own, because I was always kind of doing my own thing anyway.
Yeah, so at a young age, I said you're bouncing around, learning different hustles, trades.
Always doing something. So it wasn't the biggest thing for me was I didn't have health benefits. That was my biggest thing. I didn't have, but I was healthy. I'm still, thank God I'm still healthy. That was not even, I was like, listen, I'm making more money. I'm doing my own thing at my own pace. And that's how I got to the beginning of being a DJ full time and doing weddings. And we opened up in '98. We got incorporated in 04, 05, something like 05, 05. I'm pretty sure it was 05. We got our first office, and from there started building. I met my wife at an event that I was doing. She was a Corona girl. I was a DJ at Chi-Chi's. And
Chi-Chi's. Wow.
Yeah, Chi-Chi's.
Throwback. No, don't exist anymore.
She came on, and we got married. We had awesome twins.
Well, hold on. So '98, you get incorporated. You met your wife a little bit before that, right?
I met my wife after we were incorporated. I think I met my wife in 01 or 02.
Okay, so you started the business on your own. Mm-hmm. '98, you're a legit company. Yeah. 2001, you meet your wife at Chi-Chi's. Hit it off. Married 2 years later, 1 year later, 6 months later?
A year and a half later, we were married. A year and a half later,
okay. Yep. Perfect. And then now she's also your partner in the business as well, right?
Yes.
So how did that cultivate? So you met your wife, you got married.
So we got married. It was strictly DJing then. And I met me and my wife were she was very encouraging, pursue it, do more. And she was more of a professional minded person because she has, a 9-to-5. She's a 9-to-5er, right? She had the 9-to-5 in her mind, but she did a thing on the side as well.
Right.
Long story short, we spoke about it. I opened up my first office. And at first I brought in some partners. So I had a guy doing limousines. I had a guy doing photography. And we kind of put our minds together. And for me, more importantly, put our money together to pay the rent. And that's how the wedding kitchen began.
I was gonna ask you the name. Why the wedding kitchen?
The wedding kitchen. It's the wedding kitchen because the corporation is called Margarita's Kitchen. Going back to when my mom and pop left, and when I was on my own, my mother always had her side money, right? She had her own bank account that my father didn't know about.
They call it mag money.
Yeah. So when I was leaving, when I had the opportunity to leave the law firm I was working at, I already went through that money I had, right? I was living check to check.
So the 3333 was gone.
That was been gone.
What was the significance with the 333?
You know, I think it was my father wanted. I think my father said, "Hey, I got like $7,000 to give my brother and I," and he wanted to split it.
Oh, it was just math.
Yeah, it was just mathematical. My father's a numbers guy, and
we're good. Okay, sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's all right. So so then what happened was to open up the corporation. I had, I didn't have a bank account. I don't even think I had a bank account. And I had a bank, but there was nothing in there.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. So my mom gave me $800 and something that she from her money that she had. It was all she had. She gave it to son. Do your thing. I trust you, and she gave me that. So in honor of my mom, I called the corporation Margarita's Kitchen Inc.
That is so awesome, brother.
So
I didn't even know that, man.
Yeah, with Margarita's Kitchen Inc. And the reason the kitchen is in there is because in my house in Queens was, I'll be honest, my house was not the most peaceful home.
Right? I don't think any Puerto Rican home is that
but
peaceful.
this one was that
Candela.
And more.
Yeah.
Right? So the only time not the only time, but more times than not, the most peaceful time was in the kitchen of my house. So kitchen, my mother Margarita, I wanted something catchy. I was like, you know what? Margarita's Kitchen came out of my mind. Honestly, I don't know how or when. There was no plan. There was nothing. Just the name that came out. I liked it. And that's what I call the corporation, Margarita's Kitchen Inc.
Oh, beautiful name, man.
So from there, when we started doing the wedding stuff full time, we called it, we couldn't call it Margarita's Kitchen. We called it the Wedding Kitchen. It was
still a beautiful ode to the whole.
Exactly.
I love that.
And then I was in-house at a venue. It's called, I'm going to mention it, but they're in Woodbridge. They're still there. And I was an in-house person there. And they were very opinionated. It was a Greek-owned catering facility. Right. And they tell me, why you call yourself the Wedding Kitchen? Horrible name, I was like,
really?
Oh yeah, they were it is what it is. That's fine. Yeah. But you know what? I didn't like what they said. I felt slighted. I felt offended. But I listened, and I said, you know what? They may have a point, because once I started calling myself the Wedding Kitchen, I started noticing that I wasn't getting Sweet 16s. I wasn't getting other types of events. Hence, TWK Events.
Very smart.
The Wedding Kitchen. And then events, because we do events, came into play.
I love that. That's the transition.
That's the truth.
See, that's your I can't say the word. Entrepreneurial spirit.
Right.
Because you, as an entrepreneur, you got to be able to hear the noise, block out what doesn't make sense, but also still say, you know what? Maybe I could tweak that. Yeah. And you did that, because after doing that, the TWK Events, it just sounds more regal and more broader than just the wedding. Like, we just focus on weddings. Right. So you opened yourself to a wider audience and more clientele because of that.
Yes.
And people don't understand just that one small, like that an entrepreneur's job is to turn a small negative into a big positive. Mm-hmm. So you took the small negative, a critique. Oh, what do you do? Mm-hmm. But look at the big positive you made over time.
Right.
And that's your job over and over. You take a small negative, you make it a big positive.
Correct.
So doing that with TWK, I have to ask you, because I didn't know this, how hard is it to do a wedding? How hard is it to do an event?
Now,
please tell me your war stories.
War stories. Now, they're never easy, right? It's like we were talking about it earlier before we even started. Anybody can do an easy event, right? Let's be honest. DJing is not very difficult. If you know music and you have a source to get music, and if if you're savvy with matching beats and can invest in a sound system stuff, you can DJ, right? Big difference between being a wedding DJ and a club DJ is that the wedding aspect of events have a lot of formalities, introductions, pauses, cake cuttings, first dances,
A lot of segments.
a lot of different segments to the day. And if you don't know that, you're shooting yourself in the foot. But the biggest challenge of a wedding is really not how good you DJ. It's not how good you can program it. That program is very important, but that's, the biggest part for me and for TWK Events is getting a room to blend and mash together the right way, right? Without excluding, one side of the room. And when I say one side of the room, we specialize in weddings, but we also are TWK Events, for better or worse, has been known to specialize in bilingual events.
Gotcha.
So when you're dealing with bilingual events, Latino events with other Latinos, Latino and Latino, or Latino and non-Latino, which is often the case, there's a different element. There's a different element to the day. As a matter of fact, I was just called by a company just 2 weeks ago to MC a bilingual wedding the Saturday that just passed. And the owner of this company is Latino. Okay. But he doesn't specialize in Latino events. Wow. Now he does it. He has a DJ that plays, Spanish music, and their DJ was, he was good. He was a good DJ. I would have done it a little differently than he did, but I have my own, doesn't mean that he's wrong and I'm right. I'm just different. But he hired me because he knows, and a lot of people in the industry know that that's what I specialize in. And it's not because I speak English and Spanish. It's that I have a lot of experience in events that have multi-cultures in it. And it's unique because, a wedding is very emotional. You got married very recently, right? You're not even a year yet, right? Everything about a wedding is emotional. So when you're doing an event and you're dealing with emotion, it's already,
nerves are high.
Yeah. Now, when you're dealing with a Latino in a situation like that, it's even higher, right? It's just our DNA, if you want to call it.
Right.
So being able to incorporate a client's vision and with their day and taking the time to know them goes a long way the day of. You put all those elements together, and that's what gives you, that's what makes us different than other companies, right? Not that I'm saying I'm better or than A, B, or C, but we're very different in that aspect that we were never scared to say this is what we specialize in. Mm-hmm. I was saying, exactly, I owned it. And I did it when it wasn't popular. I think that's what really separated us from anybody else. We were doing it when it wasn't popular. When people said, well, you specialize in mira events, Latino events, really, like, wow, it wasn't popular. But go look now, you see every Tom, Dick, and Harry company, we do, Latino events also, and it's different. It's not
authentic.
It's not authentic. It's Taco Bell.
Yeah. And you got the real authentic ingredients.
Exactly.
Hence the kitchen. You're a trailblazer.
We try.
You trailblaze the whole niche for bilingual weddings, bilingual events.
Yes.
But then I love how you say that, you rep it, you put your feet in the sand, and that's who you are. Because sometimes people sell something in a business and that's not who they really are. Right. You really are what you say you are. And I think that's what resonates with a client that deals with you, is that you offer a big word that a lot of companies don't build with their clients, and that's trust. Right. And I think you are a artist at trust, with about trust building with a client. And it speaks to your reviews, because I'm overwhelmed. It's why I picked you. You were 5-star review on Google, over 80 reviews. That's a lot. That's a nice sample size.
And we had more. We were actually over 100, but Google changed their algorithm.
Yes, they did change the algorithm.
And if there was an inactive Gmail account and stuff like that, those reviews dropped. I mean, I had reviews going back over 10 years.
And then once they changed the algorithm, they changed the algorithm.
So if somebody doesn't have a Gmail account no more, or changed it, or
it drops
inactive,
off.
It dropped off.
I see.
Yeah. Okay. So we had, thank you.
So you're arguably over 100. easy, right?
On Google alone, we have Wedding Wire. We also had Gig Masters. I had like 70 something on Gig Masters. Wedding Wire, I think we have like 44. So we're up there.
You're a 5-star company. My question is, how hard is that's an art in itself? How hard is it to maintain a 5-star review in a business that's so emotional that you make one mistake, the DJ's done?
Yeah.
I don't like Jose anymore.
Yeah.
So what's your philosophy on navigating that with a client to get that 5-star review? How do you make that happen?
I like to think that today's client is not yesterday's client, meaning when reviews became a thing, right? I believe people used it to get something, right? Oh, I found her in my shower.
Yeah.
Let me get a room on the house,
yeah,
right?
I got you.
Guilty. I was guilty. I did it myself,
did it
right? You know? So I think that was I think when reviews came out, it was a platform for people to use it as leverage. Today, I believe that some people may still do so, but I think today the consumer is more educated. I think the consumer is also more, appreciates more. And even after COVID, I think it's people a little bit more appreciative of professionals, entrepreneurs, because they know the struggle that we must have gone through those times. So they're a little bit more conscious of that. So I'm not perfect by any means. And I think that I got to say that to at least 8 out of 10 clients, we're not perfect. If you're looking for perfect, that is not us, because there's no such thing as perfect. Right? So what I am, what I do believe I am, and what I try to show my clients from the very get-go is I am a people person. I like to communicate. I like to I wear my emotions on my sleeve. So I'm going to do what it takes to make an event what the client is expecting. I'm going back to your question before about some horror stories. There are tons of horror stories, right?
Can you name the worst one?
The worst one. I have 2 really bad ones. The worst one was a all-out fight at the wedding. That was the worst one.
I can't believe that, man. Physical altercation.
Physical altercation. It was ugly. It was in a venue in Edison, and long story short, the groom was not putting his wife first. I've learned, after doing so many weddings, something that I didn't practice myself. Sorry, Mel. I should have. But woman always right, man. Always right. Because at the end of the day,
amen to that.
A lot of times we talk out of ego. Where a woman talks from her heart, we're talking out of ego. Our mind is saying, hey, be the man, And this is what happened at both weddings that I stand out. The first one in Edison, the groom had his best friend, his brother, provide a toast. And for whatever reason, I don't know the dynamics of this couple, but it seems like the family didn't really vibe with the bride too much.
Gotcha.
Gotcha. So the bride, I think, knew it because she didn't want any toasts, which is strange.
That
right?
is strange, yeah. Especially
so the groom was like, oh, come on, my brother wants to say some words. And I'm not scared to say it. His brother was the most arrogant person. My wife's one of the photographers at our company.
Yes.
TWK Events, for those who are listening, we do photo, video, DJ service, and photo booths.
Everything.
So my wife, to not to exclude her, she's a big part of us because she's one of the photographers. She's not our master photographer, but she is our photographer of 18 years now, and she's in charge of timelines, getting staff together, photo and video, and coordinating the day of. She works as a coordinator more times than not, believe it or not. So going back to the story, the groom's brother was really inappropriate with my wife. Just leave it at that, right?
Wow.
And so when I got there, I already felt something was not right with this party.
You had the vibe.
The vibe was already there. Before I even got there, it was thick. The air was thick. And the groom allowed his brother and the best man to make the speech, and it was highly inappropriate. Curse words, jabs at the bride.
Oh, wow. It's like Wedding Crashers.
Yeah, really, inappropriate stuff. And it was the first time that this happened. It was I would say like 12 years ago.
Okay.
The first time this happened to me. And I didn't know what to do. I froze, right? I froze. And long story short, the bride left the room crying, ran out the reception crying. And I was like, wow, man, it's like these, I think about it now and I get goosebumps awkward, right?
Yeah. What was the outcome?
A fight.
How long was this fight? Who was involved?
The bride's brother had a nickname, and his name, I'm not going to say his name, but let's say his name was Butch.
Okay.
With a name like Butch, and it was close to Butch.
Mm-hmm.
A name like Butch, he was like 6'4", 250, 60 pounds. And Butch got butchy. The groom's brother was by the bar, and he was trying to talk to the bride. I was trying to play counselor, which is one of my hats, right? Sometimes I have to play counselor at the wedding. I told the groom's brother, say, listen, she doesn't want to talk right now. Let her be. It's her day. Let's sacrifice, whatever you want to say, just let it go. You did what you did. It is what it is. We're partying. Please don't mess up my party. This party's it's gotta be
the rock.
It's gotta rock. Right? It's my house account. I'm one of my house accounts, so I'm like, eyes on me. He listened to me for a second. Man, like 2 or 3 minutes later,
let it loose.
He comes back. The groom's brother comes back, starts yapping in the bride's ear. She walks off to the bar. He follows her to the bar. And here comes Butch, who runs up on this guy. It was like slow motion. It was like, you ever saw the show $6 Million Man? Steve Austin back in the 70s. He was like the Bionic Man.
Oh, I've heard of this.
He was like slow motion. Really? He was like strong.
You're seeing this in real time.
So I'm watching it. It's coming right in front of me. I'm on a little riser as I'm DJing. I see Butch coming through. He gets to the bar and he says whatever he says, and the groom's brother looks. Now, my sound system is bumping, right?
Yeah.
I hear the sounds like this. Boom. And all hell breaks loose. The Italian side is fighting with the Irish side now.
Oh my God.
All hell broke loose. I try to contain it, but it was uncontainable.
And not your fault. Obviously. This is just. I hope you got your envelope before this happened.
Oh yeah,
I would have packed it.
I don't play unless I get paid because I know this is a possibility. Wow. I was good as far as pay, but it bothered me because I wasn't able to accomplish something that I set out to accomplish, which was give my clients just
the service and the party.
An amazing party. They save for this. They anticipate, a great time. And women, I learned from my wife that women dream about this their whole life.
This is their top day.
Their fairy tale. This is what it is. So I felt unaccomplished. I felt horrible for them. And needless to say, the cops came. People were arrested, and the wedding was no more. That's number one. The second one was not as bad as that, but the second one was it was a Mexican African-American couple that had odds with somebody in the groom's family. The groom's sister changed her dress, her wedding dress. She was part of the bridal party. She changed it to her own fabulous dress. And the bride didn't receive it well. So come introduction time, she did not want me to introduce her new sister-in-law. Girl was young. Girl was only 18 years old, right?
So you gotta
right. And I told her, listen, she's 18 years old. She's she doesn't understand that this is your day. She just thinks it's about her as well. She's the groom's only sister. They got that rich Mexican blood, culture in them, blood in them. So and the problem there was the groom was trying to satisfy everybody. And I pulled him to the side. Again, I was wearing another hat that day. And I said, hey, look, man, I hear what you're saying. I don't know if his parents had paid for it or whatever. I think they did. It was, so I guess his parents felt a little entitled, which I get it. I pay. I want to be a little entitled too. Mm-hmm. But the parents said, if you don't introduce my daughter, we don't want to be introduced either. So it was, it was chaos. So I told the groom, I said, look, man, it's your day, right? You have to go home with your wife, not your parents. Do the right thing, and tell your sister to go inside, have a seat. And I don't know, he didn't listen. He didn't listen to me.
God.
And we were outside waiting to be introduced for 45 minutes. At the venue was saying, we got to get these people introduced. The venue is about timeline with the kitchen and the food.
They gotta be. It's like
the food's got to come out. I was like, look, I was about to throw in the towel, and I said, look, I'm not a psychologist. I'm DJing here. I'm emceeing, DJing today. I'm not. I went inside. My wife was doing photography that day, and she tells me, I want to see you turn this party out. Now you're going to earn your money. Something we were talking about earlier. Anybody can do something when it's easy. It's when things don't go the right way.
The curveball.
The curveball is when you see who's in the majors and who's just in the minors. Really, that's when. Yeah. And my wife challenged me, and I was like, you know what? I take your challenge. I went back outside. I said, you know what? I already said the bride's name. I told her, look, we're going to do this my way. You trust me? And she goes, I trust you. I said, we're going to do this my way. So I told her parents and the rest of the bridal party, listen, guys, I'm sorry. We don't have time now to do introductions. Guys, just go into the room and take your seats. They went into the room, took their seats, and I just introduced the bride and groom. That was it. I introduced them. But the room was divided at that point. It was already divided. People start talking. What's going on?
Oh, boy.
Esta y lo otro y tal, tal, y tal. And then, and the other side is like, what's up with these people? Who introduce them, get their first dance done, have everybody seated, get dinner served. We do the toast during dinner to catch up on time, get the parent dances done during dinner. And I start thinking, how can I ease the tension in this room? Because it was thick. Mm-hmm. So I started cracking jokes, honestly, man. I started asking questions, where this person's from, where that person's from, who flew in. It started becoming a
comedy bit.
Yeah, it really was. It was, cracking little jokes here. Somebody was saying they were from Brooklyn. I was like, all right, babe, make sure you give me your purse over here, or things like that. Just little knickknacks.
But the beautiful thing to that story is, again, you took a small negative and you made it a big positive. And I think that the entrepreneurial, lifestyle is that. And you embodied it there. You took a bad situation, made it good. You couldn't do it with the first wedding, but hey, all hell broke loose on that one. You don't own that one. But you were talking a lot in these stories about managing personalities and being like a psychologist, right?
Yes.
My question is, and I got the mastermind questions. I'm going to ask you that after this.
We're good.
My last question before that is, how difficult or how much of a blessing is it to run a business with your wife? And what are the ups and downs to that? The
ups and downs.
Don't say too much to get in trouble.
No.
She's gonna watch this.
Oh, my wife is so cool now. Man, she's so cool. The obvious are the downs. We're around each other all the time, right? And that's a good thing. I definitely have that codependent personality where I want to be with my wife and kids. Like,
I'm like that too.
I have an awesome office. I have a 600-foot office, and I do most of my work in my living room. I love it. And my wife says, why you have all this stuff over here? Why you going to your office? So I'm like, I have to hear that noise. I have to hear the dog barking. I have to hear the kids, wrestling with each other and jiving. And yeah, that's just what I'm about. So I do love working with my wife. Is it difficult sometimes? It is difficult sometimes because I didn't go to school for managing, right? I did not go to school for that. So
the coordinating part that your wife is good at.
Exactly. My wife is good at and I'm decent at coordinating also. But my wife is good at managing the day. Like where sometimes I can get a little overwhelmed with something, and not mind my manners, right? I can talk to one of my sons like, hey man, just get that done, right? You can't talk like that to your wife.
Yeah,
right.
It's true. This is true.
You have your own business and you have employees. There's sometimes, you wish you can take the way you set something back, right? But you talk to other guys, we take it. We're like, whatever. I've worked with men, and they say something to me. Sometimes I'm like, if I was extra sensitive, I would. How dare you, right?
Yeah.
But you can't talk to a woman like that, let alone
Especially
your wife, right? So that's the difficult part of it. And she'll call me on it. She'll call me. A second she won't do it on the spot,
but she'll make it aware to you.
Yeah, she'll give me a look, right? And I already know, right?
And it's time.
It's on, right? And when we're in private, she'll say, "Hey, unless you want me to quit right now, you better straighten yourself." Now, this hasn't happened in years, but I can remember like it was yesterday.
Right.
She would bring me up. So that's the difficult part about it. The good part about it is that is the trust. Right? A lot of people, when going to the business side of this, a lot of people fail in this industry because they bring on partners that they think are a good match with them, either personality-wise, financial-wise. There's something to gain from them. I don't want to say they use people, but I think kind of it is.
It is, yeah.
You bring people because you're using them for something. So when you have an entity like that, since we do photo, video, and DJ, if you have an entity like that and you're partnering with other people that have an interest, a photographer that has an interest paying rent, paying bills, when you're doing something like that and you start making more, or you start being more successful, I can see how a partner in a business can say, "Hey man, why am I paying $2,500 a month for the bills and for everything, and I'm only making $3,000 and you're making $15,000. You should be paying more."
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
And then what's going to be, my father's a number counter. Right? I'm going to say, hey, this is what we agreed to.
Yeah.
This is it is what it is. I don't deal with that because that's the beauty of it becoming a family-owned business.
Trust is so deep.
It's the trust. It's the trust. It's the I'm not looking to get over on my wife, and she's not looking to get over on me. And our goal is to be successful. Is to provide a above par service, and show our clients that it's not just business for us. It's we believe our clients are like family to us, and that's the good part of this. I'm able to share with my wife, who's my main partner in this, with my brother, my mom for that matter also. It's a family thing that we hold close to us, and we're very careful who we allow into our hearts, right? Because what you allow in your heart is going to come out your mouth. Right, so we always try to stay around positive people. We only try to work as best we can with positive people. It hasn't always been the case. Let me tell you, I'll be the first to say, when we first started this off, the first 4 or 5 years, it wasn't everybody wasn't positive. It was tough. It was tough,
but normal when you're starting a business.
Yes,
absolutely. You're gonna get your bumps and bruises in the first couple of years.
Absolutely.
A lot of businesses fail in the first 5 years.
And what was my saving grace is I never gave up any equity in my corporation. If I did, then I would have to dissolve and start over, and it's not easy. So
skin in the game.
We're still to this day the same corporation, thank God. Some people may think that I had this great plan. I didn't. It was more learning as I went. It's not like today. YouTube can teach so many things. There was no YouTube back in if they were, I sure wasn't watching it.
Yeah. Right? You came from people skills, social skills,
right?
Trial and error,
exactly.
Hustle, and learning from your mistakes. Exactly. And I think that's part of the generation growing up now that doesn't have that.
No,
they fail one time. Oh my God, life is over. Mm-hmm. No, you fail one time, you get up and do it again.
That's right.
And you'll do it better. And you make another mistake, but you're going to get better.
That's right.
You define that. And I think that's why TWK is so successful for so long. Because you take your bumps and bruises,
right? You
learn, you become resourceful, which is a big thing with entrepreneurs, being resourceful.
That's right.
And you turn every small negative into a positive.
I think
that is what TWK stands for, is that family culture.
Exactly.
And trust. And you bring that into your client's life, because I was the one to experience it.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
It was beautiful.
I appreciate that.
Oh, you guys are great, man.
And same to you, man. Owning a business it takes a lot of you. So you want it to be a prosperous thing. You want it to be successful because it represents who you are. At the end of the day, Margarita's Kitchen and TWK Events is me. You know, it's its own entity, right? But it's me.
Yeah.
You know, hence why, you know, I'm careful with how I treat people. Even when things aren't right? Things sometimes don't go according to plan. You can't hide. A lot of times, I see a lot of young business owners avoid something, right? You know, an ostrich puts his head in the sand because it thinks it's not seen. You know what?
I never heard that.
We see that ass sticking out, right? And when you act like that with people, going back to that topic, people don't appreciate that. And like I was saying earlier, I think today's consumer is more, they're more in touch with themselves than they ever have been. And I don't think they expect people to be perfect, but I do believe that they expect people to try their hardest to make things correct. And if they themselves are wrong, I think they understand, they know. You know,
they're aware of it.
They're aware
Yeah,
of it.
they're aware of it.
And like, okay, like I just had a client who called me for pictures that she says that she didn't get her album from 6 years ago. I just got the call last week. Now my contract says a year. You have a year.
Yeah.
After a year, we don't want to be responsible for your prints. If you don't get your product within a year after your event date, you know, that's on you. Mm-hmm. But you know, I didn't even know who. My wife remembered who the client was. She goes, you know what? If we have it, let's help her out, right? And I was like, hey, that's the difference. You know, that's what my wife brings to the table.
That's the yin and yang, because you would have been, nah, you're done. And then she said, no, babe, we got it. Let's service the client.
Exactly.
That's the beautiful rhythm. That
my wife's exact words, listen, we're different. We're different. We're Christian, number one.
Amen.
And let's represent, you know, who we are the right way. So that's exactly what we did. You know, I was like, hey, you know what? Send me your date, your information, and we'll locate it and give it to you. That's what I believe helps our reputation out. You know, it's one client at a time. That's the key. You'll never hear me bragging, oh, I do 1,000 events a year. No, I don't. As a matter of fact, I'm doing less clients now, where I was at 80, 90, 80, 70. I think where I was at 65.
But the quality is better.
The quality is better. We're able to put more of ourselves into it, and we're attracting that client.
And you deliver a great product.
We try our best. Thank you.
But I know you got to run. I got a couple mastermind questions for you.
On.
So this is what we do on the podcast. We, you know, a couple questions. I sent these to you, you know, just to get to know you a little bit better and get to know the business better. What book have you read that inspired you the most?
You know, I didn't really look at those questions. Sorry.
The coordinator.
It's so funny.
We need the coordinator.
Well, the Bible, first of all, the good book.
Amen.
So that's the beginning and the end and everything in between.
You're the second guest back to back. You're the second guest on this show that said that.
Awesome.
The guy before you, same thing. And I asked him, I'm going to ask you, what is your go-to verse from the Bible? Your piece?
My favorite verse is the most famous verse, John 3:16. You know, for God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten son. I'm a father, and I can't even fathom sacrificing a strand of hair of my son's head, but to give up your child to, you know, and the way, it wasn't like, hey, you know, your lethal injection, you go. No, I mean, the persecution and what you know, what we know today Jesus Christ went through is crazy, just so that we don't have to go through it. Without getting technical about it, it's just like, wow, you know, and for me, that is the biggest, the most, and you know what, even if an atheist, I think even an atheist could appreciate that, right? You sacrifice life for the greater good is powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the war is won already. We're already forgiven.
That's right.
He died for our sins.
That's right.
Us being here and being able to just breathe and talk, it's like a blessing in itself. So
that's right.
We have to remind ourselves as Christians to pay it forward.
That's right.
And I always say this, and a lot of people say it, it doesn't cost a thing to be a good person.
No, it doesn't.
You know, it doesn't cost a penny to just be good to somebody.
Exactly. And if we could, what I take out of that verse in the Bible is be graceful to other people. So young people in the business, something that I didn't get any help, man. When we started this, not a single DJ, not a single photographer, not a single videographer came and said, hey, these are the ropes. And it's not true. One, Ed, who was my photographer partner back then for 2 years, he was gracious. And to this day, I need somebody, I call him. And he's a good friend. Excuse me, a good friend to me because of that. But besides that, nobody gave me information. Now, I'm an open book. If people call me, hey,
pay it forward.
Hey, I have I can tell when another company's calling me just to get pricing. Dude,
yeah,
I go online. It's there. You can see it. I'll give you my structure and stuff like that. So that's what I get out of the good book.
Absolutely,
right? The Jesus relationship with Jesus and the relationship in the world in general. So that's my main go-to book. Non religious or Christian book. I believe I liked the book by Sotomayor. She is the Supreme Court Justice, the Puerto Rican woman that's actually on the Supreme Court. So the only, I think she's the only female, but definitely the only Puerto Rican that ever made the Supreme Court.
Wow, I know that there's Esther Salas is another one, but she's not. I don't think she's at the Supreme level yet. But she was from Newark. I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
But
so Sotomayor was from the Bronx.
Oh, okay.
So she was a Puerto Rican woman that got all the way to the Supreme Court, and she came from a single family home. And I love that because not only did she empower women, which that is definitely something that I'm pro. I am for women empowering themselves, and she was also Boricua. So I was able to relate to that. And anything positive in the Latino community, more so the Puerto Rican community, I'm always, interested in. I'm always for, and I love to lift that because I think other cultures are ahead of us in that department because they've been doing that for long and holding themselves up. So I believe that I hold everybody up, but I give those who I have something more in common with a little bit more effort to hold up, whether it's giving them advice or bringing them their business or something like that. Give it to them because it's empowering.
Sharing information,
yeah, and shopping small business that's Latino-owned for me is empowering to our people, and I think I think the world needs that, and it's a positive thing. I support everybody. The economy is not hurting because Jose Oliveras ain't out there. Me and my wife are shopping. My wife's a shopper. Right?
I hear you.
The mall is not suffering because of us. But I think it's important to give back to community and to empower our children, empower our women, and let them lead the way. Right? We can't expect the next generation or woman to do things on their own, number one, women, but we can't expect our children to be model citizens if we don't give them the example of that, right? We can't expect our kids to be givers or to be people who seek good things if we don't teach them.
We don't set the precedent.
Yeah, we don't set the precedent. And that's why I like that Sotomayor book, because she did it on her own. Very much like my sister. My sister was my biggest influence. My go-to person, right, was when I was a young child to my teens, even to when I was married. She was my go-to person because she was always well-grounded, and she was a single mom to my beautiful niece Amanda, who's now going to school to be a nurse. She's married, very successful. So those two books meant the most to me that I could recall.
Powerful, brother.
Yeah.
Powerful, man. You took the words out of my mouth for the next question because you answered already. What person in your life has brought you the most influence?
Different parts of my life, right? From my childhood to my parents, my mom also, my parents, they gave me the roof over my head. the clothes on my back. So they're obviously an influence, a big one for, in that sense. But they always worked. I was home alone most of the time, so I'm bringing myself up kind of per se, because my parents were hardly there. My father would go early in the morning,
Working
come late
hard,
at night. But they were a presence there. Thank God I had both of them. So I had that. But my sister was my confidant. Like, I could tell her anything that I couldn't tell my mom or my dad. She's 10 years older than me, and she's my family's confidant. Everybody goes to my sister. I just happen to have first access. I'm first. I got first dibs.
You got the hookup.
She's the consigliere of our family.
Yeah.
That's what she is. So very level-headed woman. Went to her challenges, came out on top. Single. My nieces. Only had her father out of the picture. And my sister didn't chase him around. She did. She did her thing herself in the Bronx at that.
Man.
All right.
That
so
time too.
it was tough. So
yeah.
she was my early life confidant. My adult life and Christian confidant, and believe it or not, business confidant was my former pastor who passed away like 3 years ago, Pastor DeMola.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, David DeMola from Faith Fellowship Church. I was been there for 15 years now. But not only was he a man of God who spoke, just righteousness and love, and he also spoke a lot about everyday life. It's a non-denominational church, so there was no denomination that was bigger than the other. But he just spoke life, man, common sense. I remember there were services where if he spoke about Jesus for 20 minutes was a lot. A lot of times you just talk about life, marriage, and friends, and business, and keeping the biggest things his thing was, mind the company you keep. Be careful. That saying, show me your two best friends and I'll
show you who you are.
So he was, that was his thing. And besides, of course, grace and stuff like that, knowing that we're forgiven, things that are obviously very important in life. But even if you're not Christian, if you have a positive influence in your life, and that I love to share with anybody who wants to hear it and who's listening. Even if you're not walking in faith, even you have no perception of who Jesus, no idea of who Jesus Christ is, keeping yourself around positive people is always going to give you positive results. We talk sometimes, and men more than women, whatever's in our heart, we blur it out, right? Somos bruto, right? That's who we are. And if you protect your heart, right? And marriage is a huge thing. If you protect your heart, in your marriage is one. If you protect that and watch what you allow in, watch the influence that you allow, sooner or later, you're gonna start talking what you allow in. So if you're allowing negative, that means your only thing you're letting in is positive. Your mouth starts speaking positive. And what's that term? Fake it until you make it.
Yeah.
It's not faking. You may even think it is at first. I thought that when I was, got back into the word, it's fake, man. I'm a dog. But before you know it, those words become life. That's why I've always taught my kids, watch what you say.
It becomes real. Because
it becomes real, right?
And the devil is of the earth, so he listens to everything you say. So you talk negative things will happen.
Exactly.
It's a mirror, versus you being positive.
Yeah.
Can't touch you.
I told my kids the evil, you need to keep it light, because I was Pentecostal growing up, so they used to scare me. You let those devil horns in, they're gonna kill. And I said, listen, you leave the window open a little bit, the evil's gonna come in.
Devil's gonna walk in, yeah.
And if people if people don't want to listen to the Christian talk, if you want to call it that, then don't say, oh God, or thank God. You can't have one without the other. It's a real thing, right? And I don't hide it. I don't hide it for anybody. This is who I am. But if you'll crack a window open a little bit, in a 0 degree day, it's going to get cold. The same thing in your life. If you allow evil, which it's not going to say I'm evil. It's vices, alcohol, smoke, drugs, God forbid. If you let anything like that, it's just going to
overcomes your life.
It overcomes your life. So that's that's something that I learned through my pastor, and you know, he's maybe the biggest influence. Not maybe, definitely is the biggest influence.
Yeah, he changed your life
of my adult life. Absolutely.
God bless, man.
Absolutely. So that was huge. And then I got my father-in-law, who was a big help for me also. Where, you know, his home and my wife's home was very tranquil, right? Where mine was very turbulent.
Gotcha.
You know, I learned some things from him. I learned not to be macho, because I was macho. My father was a macho man.
That's Boricua.
Yeah, so I was macho. I thought my word was final.
Yeah.
You know, I'm first generation Puerto Rican. My wife is second generation. So she already got that American, excuse me?
Yeah. We're Puerto Rican men are machista.
I'm a working woman. I'm not staying home, right? I'm not not that the stay-home woman doesn't have a say.
Yeah.
But, you know, she wasn't going for that. And my father-in-law helped me realize, hey, it's okay to be who you are, but a woman is a little different.
Yeah.
You know, whatever you've seen in the past, that's, you know, that's over with. You want to get along with my daughter?
Respect.
A, B, C.
Absolutely.
You know, and I'm still working on C. I got A and B now. You know,
hey man, listen, we're work in progress, man.
We're on the construction.
You just like I told you earlier in the show, you pull from everybody.
Yes,
that's the one thing I'm taking away from you is that Jose pulls away from everybody the good.
Yes,
and you make this beautiful, like I said, nucleus earlier that I think is, you know, the grace and faith that makes you the great personality and person you are.
Thank you, man.
You're just pulling away. I love it, brother.
Thank you, bro.
Are there any practical tips you could share that helped your process in business and in life combined?
Practical tips. Trust your gut. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. There's a lot of information out there, right? There's nothing wrong with information, but too much information sometimes can block the entrepreneur mind, right? You got to live your own dream.
I love that.
You got to work your own plan, right? Yes. You know, if I worked somebody else's plan, I would be somewhere else, right? So that for me is the biggest thing. And I know it's general, but it's real.
No, it's powerful.
Work your plan. When you get a plan, how do you execute it, right? Find people who went through it. You know, information is available all over the place. You know, they get the SBA, Small Business Association, that gives new business owners a lot of resources. If you are of Latino or female or what they call minority, right? I don't like that word, but it's you know, a common phrase to describe our demographics or whatever it is.
Not true.
You've got resources, more resources available. I think I would tell people to look into that. SBA it's complimentary. It's a state-run agency. They have retired accountants, retired business attorneys, tax advisors, business advisors, a lot that are retired that do it as a service, and some of them who are employees. And they have resources that are legit, you know? And get to it and you know, go that route. Use trust professionals that you can, you know, word of mouth, you know, ask people that are in business who, why, and what. And that's key. Again, something that I did not do. I learned, you know,
on the fly.
I had an accountant. I hired an accountant. Well, that wasn't my fault. Believe it or not, the law firm I worked for had an accountant. One of the attorneys, one of the partners there, referred an accountant to me, and I used her. Long story short, she didn't do what she was supposed to do as far as my filings and stuff like that, and I had no idea. That's Chinese to me.
Yeah,
it was.
I can't stand tax.
It was. So she wasn't doing what she was supposed. She wasn't even filing.
Oh my God.
She wasn't even filing. So she was taking my money. So she wasn't even filing.
Oh my Lord.
And then the state came to my job, showed their badge. It was scary.
Oh my Lord.
And long story short, I called my accountant in front of them, and I said, "Hey, Angela, I have agent such and such here asking me who I am. They have no idea. I haven't filed taxes. My corporation has been since 1998, and I haven't paid. I think it was like 2000. It was 2 years I passed, 3 years,
Right.
and she exposed her, and she was like, "Oh, you've been paying." And when I said that the state person was there, she goes, "Oh," and the state person said, "Do you give me permission to speak?" I said, "Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have nothing to hide." Right? And she spoke, and the accountant said, "I'll call you right back. Hold on a second." And never heard from her again.
Wow.
I went to their attorney. I said, "Hey, man, what's up with Angela?" You know what he tells me? "I can't speak on her. I'm in the middle of suing her."
Wow.
All I can tell you is she's going to jail. So, and that's what I thought I had covered. I was, one of the partners. He's still my attorney to this day. He's my business attorney.
Wow.
And he used her. Sometimes things happen. Thank God that it was funny. I was back then like 25,000 in the hole because of this, with back taxes and penalties and fines.
I can imagine, yeah.
All I said talking to the lady was, "Oh my God." I said, "Jesus, help me." And when I said that, she said, "Are you Christian?" I would forget this.
Wow.
And I was like, "Yes, why?" She goes, "What makes you Christian?" John 3:16. Right? I blurted it out.
Yeah.
She said, "Look, it's obvious this woman is taking you for a ride." She says, "Get yourself a new accountant. I'll get back to you in 2 weeks, and we'll work something out for you." And that's what it was. 2 weeks later, she came back. I had a new accountant who I have to this day. He's been with me for 22 years, and she dropped all the penalties. So I saved like 7,000 in penalties. I still ended up owing like 18,000, but she dropped like 7,000 in penalties because I knew John 3:16.
That brother.
I could do it.
Wow, God is good.
I have a whole bunch of stories that that's another podcast of,
we gotta
of
do a
how
whole other podcast just for that.
how I just put words that I've learned into play, and how it just stopped
God just speaks.
what
man.
was happening. It's crazy, man, crazy.
Oof,
So
give me goosebumps, man.
there it is, bro. That's that.
Last question for you, my brother. What's the last thing you bought that changed your life?
The last thing that I bought that changed my life. I guess my home.
Like that.
I guess my home is the biggest thing. And it wasn't the last thing I bought. The last thing I bought was a truck, but my home was the last thing that changed my life. I think it empowered me. It gave me a source of. It gave me a feel. I felt like a completed person.
Foundation.
Gave me a foundation for my children.
Yes.
And it helped me, save. It put things in perspective. My kids, besides my wife, of course, and my savior, it was the biggest thing that happened in my life that made me do things the way I do today. Makes me push for something better. Makes me improve every day. Makes me reinvent, because a business that stays idle sinks. A business that reinvents itself and keeps pouring turns. What is that from that movie? What is the butter and gets out of the
churn
thing?
I know you're talking about. Yeah.
So, and it's so true.
Yeah.
So
it turns over.
But my home was my biggest purchase ever, and gave me more of a financial stability, if you want to call it.
Yeah.
So.
It keeps you deeply rooted. A lot of pride when you own your own home. They always say you want responsibility, you get bills. So not bad bills, but a mortgage.
Bills are good, man.
That it keeps you motivated, keeps you grounded, makes you work harder. You come home, you want to beautify it more, you want to add more stuff to it, and you want a place of peace for your family.
It's your safe place.
It's your safe place. Exactly.
It's your safe place. It's your thing.
I love it, brother.
Yeah, man.
I mean, listen, Jose, from the time we sat down to now, I'm seeing a whole different person from a good perspective.
Thank you.
But I mean, besides TWK Events, I am just so thrilled that the person that I did business with is this great human being that has well-rounded experiences from all over, from a young age to now, with all the influences from your pastor that passed away, God bless, to your father, your parents, your older sister. Just seeing all the inspiration and influence you had in your life now it comes full circle to me why you're such a great businessman.
Thank you, man.
Because you do it from the heart, puppy.
I appreciate that.
And I really appreciate your time.
I appreciate yours, man.
I appreciate you taking time to sit with us. And, you know, the last thing I'm going to say, and the floor is yours, tell everybody out there where they can find TWK Events, exactly piece by piece what you do and how they can get in contact with you.
Well, TWK Events all over the web. If you look for anything wedding, DJ wedding related, bilingual, Latino-owned, not Latino-owned, but Latino DJ entertainment, anything in that aspect, you'll find us. And we do photo, video, and DJ services. We can cater to any background, and we have a specialty in multicultural events. And I like to say our specialty is making a party a real party.
Oh, yeah.
So everything under one roof, family owned and operated, and literally family owned and operated. My wife, myself, and now my twins are all have our hands in the business, and you know, we take pride in what we do. So if you want to find us, twkevents.com, #TWK Events. I'm DJ Prophet. Instagram, Facebook, Google, and you know, we're there for you.
Absolutely, man. Hey, take it from me. He did a great job at my wedding. Great guy. Highly recommend. You will not be unsatisfied. I promise you that.
Thank you.
Jose, thank you so much for your time, brother.
Thank you.
I appreciate you.
Hey, listen, I'm telling everybody out there, support this man. He does this on his own time. He's not looking for anything in return. He just wants to bless and, you know, and pay it forward, which is amazing to me, because like I said, that's not something that's really seen out there. It's not so accessible as I wish it would be. And iron sharpens iron, so I appreciate you. I come out of this with a lot of knowledge as well from our conversation, even before we started this. And it's good, man. I love the company. I love being in your company, like I was that day. So, you know, let's keep it up.
Likewise, brother. Absolutely. I appreciate the kind words. I mean, I don't get too emotional on pods, but that strikes the heart, because this is not a money-driven thing here. This is to literally shed light on the unsung heroes, on the hardworking people, on the entrepreneurs, on the small business owners, on the Latinos, on the minorities. Again, we don't like to say that, but you know, unfortunately, that's how they categorize. Right. But it's just to shed light, to know that
you're a light, man.
We are educated, we are talented,
that's right.
We are business minded, we are faith driven, and we are here to deliver, you know, great business, not just for everyone, but to do it from a place of good kindness and heart and a true intention.
Right.
And I think you say that, I mean, that is defined by you 1,000 times.
Thank you, but and yourself too, man. You shed a light, and you give you allow people to see a different side of what they believe a Latino, or more so a Puerto Rican is. And I'm all for that. And that's exactly what I try to do every day. And I teach my kids the same thing, bro.
I love it, Jose.
Awesome.
Thank you again, brother. Guys, that is a wrap on episode 19 of I'm an Artist, Not a Salesman podcast. If this podcast inspired or moved you to follow your dreams or aspirations, please subscribe to our Apple, Spotify, and YouTube platforms by typing in Luis Guzman, I'm an Artist, Not a Salesman, and clicking that subscribe button. Please also make sure to follow my Instagram handle at Luis Guzman 2444. That's 3 4s, not 3, not 2. For further content and updates, I am thankful for every listener, and I pray you have a blessed one, not a stressed one. Peace and love.
Shout out. The Connects. Luis Guzman. Don't ever go, never leave my side. Passion's all I have.